first memory of the synagogue? You talked about learning Hebrew when you were a toddler, but what's your first memory that stands out for you?
Oh, I remember attending on 15th Street when you had Hebrew school there. After school, I remember attending there for several years. So it might have been I'm not sure what year it was that there was the split. Maybe it was, as I say, if someone could go to the cemetery, they would find out.
The split?
Yeah, that's when these more Orthodox families separated and formed their own congregation, as I mentioned before to Estelle, called Zichron Chaim Yankel. That's the congregation in memory of Chaim Jacob, who lost his life. He was a student at Ohio State and he took ill.
And I don't want to make a mistake here, but I take it that your family didn't break.
Yeah, my family joined the group that broke. Yeah.
The more Orthodox.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were joined, and we had services all these years. We had services Friday, Saturday. We had Hebrew school. We had rabbis come and rabbis go because it was a smaller congregation. But it had support, as I say, and continued all the years to 1946. As I say, it moved several times. It was into somebody's home for a short period until they could afford to rent a house. The first house they rented was in the middle of the block, a brick house. I think it's still there.
Huh.
It was owned by the lady, Mrs. Thomas, who owned the Thomas Hotel at that time. That was on Broadway in Lorain between 13th and 14th.
That's interesting.
Mr. Goldberg, how did there end up being 3 congregations that then merged for the current?
Yeah, well, there was a congregation that formed I don't think in the 1918s or thereabout in South Lorain on Pearl Avenue.
Okay. And that was separate from the other
two
two altogether?
They were very religious men, and it was too far to walk for them to...
Okay, to walk on Sabbath.
So they built a building on their own there.
I see.
I think the building is still there. Wasn't there one time the free medical clinic there?
Yeah. Right in the basement.
So when they had the merger of the 3 congregations, the one on 13th Street did not merge.
Okay.
I think Estelle was referring, there was a group that wanted to have another congregation. B'nai Israel wanted to have a congregation in addition to the 15th Street in South Lorain.
The one on 13th Street was built was begun in 1901. The men got together at someone's house and then they opened up a building later on.
No, I'm not clear on that.
Okay.
So,
when the original building, originally groundbreaking took place in 1903,
right.
there was only one group.
And the Articles of Incorporation were filed in 1902
Yeah, that's the one.
with 16 members.
Mr. Goldberg, did you have, you mentioned Hebrew school. Did you also go to secular school?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
This was after school.
It was after school. Okay. And when you were going, to school, did you encounter any, some anti-Semitism in the public schools?
Other students and teachers knew I was Jewish. We were, of course, more Jewish students at that time in Lorain. And there was always some little bit of resentment some of the kids, whether it would extend from the fact that parents were recent arrivals from Europe at that time also, where there was, some anti-Semitism there available and spoke up. But we learned to tolerate it. Because I never went to school, neither did any of my brothers or sister, on a Jewish holiday. We always observed the holiday. Sometimes there was a little resentment, and sometimes you heard a comment or two by teachers while you're staying out for holidays or stuff like that. But we learned to shrug it off.
And those holidays were very important to you and your family.
As I would say, I was brought up in that type of background, and I observed, very much so according to the Orthodox religion. My parents remained that way all through life.
And you did as well.
Yeah, well, I became more liberal as time went on.
But still, the most observant member of our congregation today.
Well, my brother, of course, was more observant.
Was he?
Yeah,
You know, just for the record, what would that require? What would it require to be the most observant member of the congregation today? What do you do that gives you that identity?
There was no contest to be the most observant.
No, I understand that, but it's interesting that Estelle would say that.
There's certain basic concepts in following Orthodox Judaism. You don't do things on Sabbath, certain things. You don't engage in work. You don't engage in shopping or going to partying or anything of that nature. You observe the Sabbath as a day of rest and a day of prayer.
Do you drive?
Initially, I never drove on the Sabbath. You didn't drive.
Right.
Later on, we're beginning to move a distance away. I just stopped and I started driving. But I never worked on the Sabbath all the years, or on Jewish holidays.
Are you pretty strict in terms of your diet? Do you observe
Yes,
dietary?